Hi there! If you're new around here, you can call me Rose. That's okay, because I'm new around here too. It's back to being a little breezy outside. It's always windy or breezy every time that I decide to record out here. But that's okay, because I got some stuff that I want to talk about. And I guess I'll just go ahead and jump right in and start with one of my prompts from last time was to take a recipe that you never made before and to twist it until it was your own. I did that actually with a recipe that I'd never made before for a food that I'd never actually eaten before, and that food was baklava. I will show some pictures of my spooky baklava that I made. I'm pretty sure it's the most terrifying baklava that's ever been made, because I believe nobody's ever probably made spooky baklava before. So this is a Rose original right here. I will share the recipe down below, and it is delicious. It ain't no health food, so if you're trying to watch your weight or not eat a lot of sugar and butter, don't make baklava. The other prompt that I gave from last time was to create a propaganda style poster for something that was not strictly propaganda, and I dilly-dallied about the concept, the idea that I had for this one, because the one that I had in my head, it was something the unpopularist of all of my unpopular opinions probably, and I was worried that maybe it's something that I shouldn't say. But then I thought, you know what, that is the point of propaganda style art, is to agitate. And I also believe that I am relieving us as a people of a burden that we've been carrying for a long time. So I'm just, without further ado, I'm just gonna go ahead and show my poster, and this is my poster. My propaganda style poster. It says, "The Beatles are not the greatest band of all time anymore." And that's not to say that I don't think the Beatles were influential, and that I actually don't think that they were a great band. But I feel like as a people, we are backed into a corner. We are expected to just say that the Beatles are the greatest band of all time. And maybe they were for their time, but I think that we have evolved, and art has evolved, music has evolved, and there have been some incredible bands in my lifetime that I don't know if I could say that I like the Beatles more than those bands. Like I say, influential, they had their time, but I just don't think they're the greatest. I don't believe that they're the greatest band of all time, and I feel like we can put that to bed. We don't need to say that anymore now, because I made this poster. I actually had a lot of fun making this. I just kind of, most of these letters were just cut out of newspapers and stuff, and I did all this with watercolor, just regular watercolor, and a piece of poster board, and I had a great time with it. That kind of leads into what I was going to talk about, because I'm going to talk about somebody who the Beatles were his favorite band, and that is my father, who sadly passed away 18 years ago on this day, October 15th. He passed away October 15th, 2000. I was not going to make a video today out of just respect, and just because this is always a bit of a somber day for me. It always will be. I mean, I was only 14 when my dad passed away, and I miss him very much sometimes. It's days like this, I think of him and I miss him. But I actually want to talk about him because My father was not a conventional father. He was, in a lot of his opinions and values for family, he was very old school. He had blueprints to the old school in his attic, but in a lot of other ways, he lived only for himself. And he, to me, serves as a good reminder that I need to live more fully. A lot of us need to live our lives more fully. Live your life to the fullest every day. That my dad was very much that kind of person. He did what he wanted, and he did just anything that he felt like he wanted to do, or anything that he thought he needed to do, or anything he felt like doing, and he didn't make any apologies for it. But while that sounds awesome, and you might think, oh, that would be great to grow up with a parent like that, it wasn't, because like I say, it wasn't for me, it wasn't for my brother, it was for himself. Those rules applied to him and not us. And he didn't always bring us on his adventures. But I just remember that about him. He just did what he wanted, no matter what the consequences were. And no matter if he could do it or if it was within his means to do it, he did it anyway. He was very much that type of person. He lived fast and he died young. And, you know, he died of a heart attack. He died of heart failure. We didn't even know he was suffering with heart failure because he didn't tell us. We found out because we found a bunch of medication to treat heart failure years after he died. He hid it from his family because he didn't want to stop living his life the way he wanted. And he didn't. And that was that. He lived in the way he wanted, exactly the way he wanted, until he unfortunately passed away 18 years ago. And I think my issue has been partially that I always looked at my dad as, you know, he wasn't a bad guy, but he was an example of something not to be for me. And I think because of that, I've spent so much time trying not to turn into my father that I haven't lived my life as fully as I could. That I haven't taken, you know, big bites out of the banquet. I've kind of held back and decided to be more responsible and to take care of my mother and be there for her. And I've kind of let that trump my desires and trump my time to go out and experience more and have more fun and create more and be more and do better for myself. Because, you know, for years and years I've said I don't want to be like my father, you know, because if he screwed up, he would just find some way out of it, no matter what the consequences were to his family or anybody. But and I said, you know, I'm not going to live like that. I'm not going to go through life asking people for things and expecting anything from anybody, especially if I fall into a hole that is my fault, that I fell into it. I intend to take responsibility for my mistakes in my life, because that was something my father had trouble doing. Like I say, he wasn't a bad guy. There were great things about him. He was smart and funny and weird, and, you know, he was fun. He could be fun. I mean, we had a few years where he had this ski boat that we went to Lake Mead all the time. And it was fun with family and friends. And he had a good zest for life, but he also had trouble reeling it in when he needed to reel it in. And I've had trouble because of that, throwing it out there when I need to throw it out there. So I want to take this day to honor my dad by reminding us to live every day and be present for every moment that you can, because you never know. You just never know. The prompt for next time, prompt 1, I want to do something kind of fun, and I have a little list that I'm gonna post up probably around this area right here. And so everybody, pretty much, a lot of us, many of us have access to a camera at all times. And we could take pictures of anything we want, anytime we want, and we can instantly upload them to the internet and show them to everybody. So I want to take this list. This is kind of like a little photography scavenger hunt, and I threw in some Halloween stuff and some not so Halloween stuff, and I think it would be fun. If you do this, if you do this, and you are going to take pictures of stuff that is maybe in somebody else's yard or something, be respectful. Don't intrude on their property. Use Zoom or something. Don't walk up to people's houses and start taking pictures of their stuff. If you get, this seems like common sense, but if you maybe accidentally get a shot of a license plate or a house number or something, please cover it up. Be respectful of the folks whose property you're taking pictures of. Like, say, if you particularly love their Halloween decorations, that's awesome, but please be respectful. So yeah, I think it's amazing that we can all kind of fancy ourselves as amateur photographers these days, because we all have access to a camera at all times, and we all have access to editing software and all that. So go on a little photography scavenger hunt, just a small one. Don't put too much pressure on yourself and worry if you can't find everything on the list. Interpret these things as literally or as loosely as you feel like, and just take the ball and run with it. It's gonna be awesome. And so alternatively, if you don't want to do that, prompt number 2 is haunted doll. Haunted doll. See what you can do with that haunted doll. And the inspiration for this one comes from the fact that I have been listening to My Brother and Me, which is a podcast by the McElroys brothers. So funny. It's just like a natural antidepressant, and I'll put some links down to their episodes below. But they had a bit that they used to do called Haunted Doll Watch, and I thought that would be an interesting thing for us to interpret. So take that haunted doll, do something spooky with a haunted doll prompt there. And that's all for now. I really hope to see some art from somebody sometime. That would be awesome. I'm gonna keep on going though, and I really appreciate everybody who has been watching, or everybody who's asked for a link. My friends that I've spoken to that have asked for links and to watch my videos and have encouraged me. I'm so grateful, and I'm just gonna keep going. So I hope everybody else will too. And have a lovely day. And remember, go out there and make yourself.